Hello everyone, welcome back to Happily Ever After. We are the Raj family, and today's topic is something that we all need to really work on. Whatever stage you are in your life, whether you are in courtship phase, whether you are dating, whether you are engaged or about to get married or just got married or been married for several years or even decades, this topic is something that we all need to work on, and there is always growth in it.
So, what is the topic?
It is expectations. Expectations. We always have expectations. We are born with expectations, right? As a child, you have a lot of expectations from your parents, especially your mother. And then when you're in school, in college, there is a lot of expectations, and you also go through a lot of expectations from others, what they expect from you. But how much impact does it have in marriage? How much impact does it have in a relationship? It's something that we have to grow as we keep seeing more and more of a need in there.
So, honey, for you, what were some things, expectations that you think have been big or important in our marriage?
For me, expectations in terms of issues, I always have been in the mindset of solving. So my expectation is to solve the issue immediately, and I don't want it to pile up and pile up and pile up. But when there is an issue, the expectation is to end there. Another expectation is to have a lot of fun in marriage. I don't. When I envision our marriage, my marriage, even before Debbie came into the picture, I envision something that it is not a dark, dull place, but it is a more lively, vibrant place where we are having a lot of communication, conversations, and we are also having a lot of fun, being playful, having people come together or come and spend time with us, and all of that. So, those were my expectations. How about you?
For me, when it comes to marriage, I think it was to have a friendship as a foundation, that we can really enjoy life as friends. And also that, yes, when we face issues, we would be somewhat, patient and forgiving, and that it would be in good terms dealing with issues. But I think sometimes if we think it can be smooth, it will be smooth. But we don't know the skills to deal with unmet expectations, or when we think the other person should be doing something and they don't do it, we don't have the tools on how to deal with that. We think things will solve nicely and smoothly, but do we have the skills and the understanding of how that looks like? I think that's where we kind of lack. We have this perfect hopes, but do we know how to make it be that smooth? No. We get annoyed, riled up, frustrated, we attack each other, we put a long face, and so that doesn't help for smooth expectations or issues to solve smoothly and nicely, So I think when we talk about expectations, we should also talk, how do we deal with unmet expectations?
Yeah, true. And that is where the communication comes in, right? Because unmet expectations are those that have not been conveyed most of the times. Not always, but most of the times. Because you have something in mind, I have something totally different in mind, and then I'm expecting you to do that, and you're expecting me to do this, and then I didn't tell you, you didn't tell me. We are constantly thinking, this is all piling up in our minds, and we are like building that whole thing up. And then at one point, we are like, oh, wait a minute, what is happening?
So I think there's two different kinds of expectation. One that it's the day-to-day things. It can be little things that we just lack communication and expressing, this is how I see it. And the other person can be like, this is how I saw it. So I had no clue, you expected one way. Or so lack of understanding can lead to unmet expectations. And for no ill intentions, or not even the person is careless, they just
Yeah.
have a different perspective. And the other type of expectation is expectations that are on the constant grow. And I love how you kind of have a little explanation for those type of
Yeah.
expectations.
So basically, the certain type of expectations are, or desperate expectations are addictions. In addiction, it's never constant. When you smoke, when you drink alcohol, when you do drugs, or even good things, when they become addictions, it is not just constant. It is going to grow, and it is going to grow from one cigarette to a pack, 2 packs. It's going to grow. Same thing with expectation. Dysfunctional expectation. You are going to expect more and more and more in your relationship. For example, with a couple, the wife is expecting something from the husband, and then the husband does not meet because she has not shared. But when he learns, he wants to do something, right? And even the husband might meet that expectation, but now the expectation is changed. Because the husband knew, the husband should have done more than what he knew. The wife is putting a little bit more expectation to it. So what happens is it comes to a point where the husband never wins. And it goes both ways. It doesn't have to be just wife against the husband. It can be husband against the wife too. So that type of expectation is an addiction, because anything the other person does, you are not satisfied with, because you are expecting more and more and more. And one of the examples that I say is, you go to, this is not even relationship, just let's say in your workplace, you are given $1,000 bonus, year-end bonus, and you're happy about it. But then you have been expecting, you got it, you're happy about it, but then your colleague, your good friend, gets 1,500 as year-end bonus. Now, are you disappointed, or are you thankful with that $1,000 that you got? Expectations, right?
And I think it just came to my mind this year we were traveling and we stopped in Turkey for a little bit. And in that country,
Yeah, yeah.
tips are not expected. They are appreciated, but they're not expected. And it makes such a huge difference, because when you give a tip to someone, they are thankful, but they don't show like disappointment. In other countries,
or they don't take it for granted either.
right, they're very thankful, and whatever you give, it's a added bonus to their life. In many other countries, including United States, many things are expected tips, and not only any tip, a tip of a certain amount or above. So whenever you give a tip, it's like, how much did you give? And people look and expect to see something good. And if not, you can see the disappointment in their face, because it was not what they were expecting. So the expectation is so huge that there's no more appreciation for a kind thank you tip. It's more like, you owe me money. And so you can see the difference. The pressure to the person that is supposed to give a tip, the pressure from the other seeing how much are they giving, it's tension, and there's not a good relationship there if you're constantly expecting more than when someone gives. And it just increases, because if we look back, some time ago, 10-15% of a tip was a good tip. Now it's like 20 should be the minimum, and maybe more should be given. And it's like, it grows with time. So it does become an addiction, and they depend on their expectations to be met.
And it flips the whole paradigm, right? Instead of being thankful, instead of being thankful, we are expecting. Oh, you gave only 10% last time. Now I think you should give me at least 15%. Some restaurants we have been to, they don't even have 15% as an option. It starts with 18% onwards.
Or 20.
Yeah, 20 as well. But the question is, aren't tips supposed to be tips and not just a mandatory thing? Isn't it supposed to be like a courteous thing that we want to help our waiter or waitress?
Like as a thank you, it's
Yeah.
more appreciation for what was done and like, I really appreciate your work. But okay, so this is just a practical example or illustration of how expectations are something that destroys our joy and thankfulness in marriage. And they can become an addiction that it will never be satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's very, very dangerous. That can totally ruin our happiness and the happiness of the other person because, and this happens at every level. It can happen to, how do you do dates or birthdays, how you plan for me, or it can happen the husband towards the wife, how do you perform in our intimate life, and some wives are like they feel never enough because there is an expectation of a huge performance to what they're used to seeing or whatever it is. So those things really impact marriage and it's real. And it's killing the enjoyment, the gratefulness, the being present in the moment and savoring what is there and growing together, but not through expectations, but through openly sharing, but also valuing what the other person has given already in so many ways.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna name it the turkey effect. The turkey effect, because you don't expect anything and the wife does it for you or the husband does it for you, you're thankful. Right? I'm not expecting her to throw a huge birthday party. Like in 2021, you remember you had a birthday party and she was very clear. This is not an every year thing. I was able to manage and have our friends come together and I was able to book the Airbnb and all of that. But please don't expect this to be every year. She made it very clear, which is great because I don't have to have my expectation because that was huge. I did not for a second think that my friends will be there 3 hours away from where we lived. And I did not know what all was planned. All I knew was we were going to an Airbnb, and for me it was like we were just you and me going to an Airbnb because we were not married yet. But then no, there will be other people. So I was like wondering, is this like a hostel or what is this? I had no idea. But I also didn't want to think too much on it because she was trying to surprise me with something, and so yeah. When things happened, I truly appreciated it. I didn't have any expectation as to what it's going to be. I was surprised. I almost had a heart attack to know that my friends and my, at that time, soon to be brother-in-law was there. And I was like, everything was going in slow motion for me. But it was a beautiful, memorable experience. And then she made it very clear. This is not going to happen every year, so please don't expect it. Perfect. I enjoyed as much as I could and I have not been having any type of expectation. And since then we did not celebrate that type of birthday party and I have not been disappointed. I've been so thankful for that year, and also every year we've done different things and we've been thankful. I've been thankful for that. Same thing goes with her. Even in fact this year we were in Austria. I couldn't do anything on my own. I cannot do anything on my own because I didn't speak the language. We didn't have intentionally the phone connection. If you want to see that video, we will put it in the link above so you can see a video regarding that mission trip. Yeah, and I couldn't do anything. However, there was another girl who had a birthday on the same day as Debbie, so we just joined with them.
It was a big birthday party on the same day and just fellowship with all the people around, and we both celebrated together, which was super meaningful to have someone celebrating or just having their birthday on the same day.
And they invited us.
Yes.
So we didn't crash, just so you know. So it was a beautiful experience. So every year it has been different things. Coming back to the point, expectation. dysfunctional expectation, it is going to be addiction. It is going to be addictive. It's going to ask you to expect more and more and more and more and more, and it never ends. When are you going to come to a point where you're going to be thankful for what you have received?
And another example that comes to my mind, because expectations we cannot avoid. We always have different ideas, hopes, dreams, and that's natural. But I think how we deal with unmet expectations is the main thing that we need to learn. Number one, not to feed expectations and let them become the center. And if it's not, it's because we're not good enough or people don't care about us, but truly think the best. And an example that just came to my mind was Jesus. He expected his disciples to be praying for them, for him during the time of most need. And he told them his expectation. He not just was like, oh, I wish they pray for me, but he said, please pray. Stay up and pray. And what did they do? They didn't. And he comes back. He's disappointed, I believe, because they needed that support. But in the midst of that, he actually thought the best of them. And he kind of was like, they're tired, their
The
spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
weak.
So he, in a way, kind of like thought the best and made it like, I understand in a way, poor things, whatever. And so he was not blaming them or like, you were not there for me where I needed you the most. And he just expressed expectations. They were not met. He still tried to kind of excuse them kindly for their humanity or lack of remembering or tiredness, whatever it might be. Like if my husband forgets, even though he's good at dates, but he forgets my birthday or something that is meaningful to me, can I excuse him? Like, he was really busy or he was doing so many other things, or it's not ill intentions. And so, number one, we see the principle of expressing our expectations and our needs. Number two, when they are not met, still thinking the best of the other person and not the worst. Like they don't care about me. They truly, are the worst disciples or partner ever, whatever it is. And so he still hold on to what he had, and God supplied strength for Jesus during that time. So we see through a most critical time, even Jesus had to go through a lot of
disappointments because he has expectations, and that's so true. We do have expectations, as we shared earlier. From our birth, we are going to have a lot of expectations with one thing or another. How do we channel the expectations? When the expectations we receive, it's easy to process it and be happy about it. But if we don't receive, how are we going to channel it out? Are we going to have the benefit of the doubt, think the best of others? Actually, we would like to read a couple verses from the Bible. Philippians 2:3. Philippians 2:3, it says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Isn't that beautiful? Like, even if she forgets to do something that I have been expecting, but I will still think of her better. Think of her as I esteem her better than myself. Because in a way, it could be selfishness, right? That I'm expecting you to do something and you're not doing it.
And many times the problem is we think the worst and we get upset and we get riled up and we demand. So it's not anymore an expectation. It's like a command, and it's like a anger towards that. And that is not good.
Yeah. And I really love these comforting verses that talks about these things. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind. Lowliness, humility, being humble, right? If you don't have the humility, if you don't have that lowliness of mind, it is going to cause you to think you are better than the other person, and that's why they have not met your expectation, right? And Debbie, would you like to read Colossians 4:6 for me, please?
Colossians 4:6. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. So always extending grace through our speech and seasoned with salt.
Yeah, and especially when the thing is not met, right? Expectation is not met. Do we have grace? Is it seasoned with salt? Do we still have that same type of love? Do we still esteem the other person better than self? There is so much to think on those things, because if
We have something exciting that we want to share. Maybe you're like, what is the strength in my relationship? How is the quality of my relationship like? How can I gauge or get an idea where I'm at or what things maybe I need to grow?
or you might not even know how your relationship is growing, and you are trying to figure it out and you don't know how to figure it out. We have a beautiful free resource for you. It is a 3-minute relationship strength quiz. You can find it on our website. It's free for everyone. You can just go put our website. We'll put it here, right here. It's called naturalhealingproject.com, and then you just scroll down. You will be able to find, it says relationship strength quiz. It is for anyone that is committed, single, or in relationship. Feel free to go and check it out and do the quiz.
You will get a percentage of the strength of your relationship with the answers you give and some tips, advice, and suggestions to move forward in strengthening even more.
If we need to receive grace, God has given us grace. We need to extend it. But if we don't want to extend it, He cannot give more, because we are trying to keep that grace with ourselves, right?
And it's no good.
Yeah.
It's no good.
Yeah.
You had another verse?
Yeah, before we go to another verse, I would like us to talk about the other aspect of the thing in terms of expectation is communication. We touched it initially a little bit, but we would like to go a little bit deeper into that. Expectations, right? This is something that happened recently. We were headed to Michigan, from Michigan to Iowa, but I always have a certain thing in my mind, and she has something else in her mind. And we finally got to talk about it after a year or so, almost a year or so. We finally got to talk about it because she opened up and I opened up, and we were like, okay, we see where we differ, and maybe we can work on that, right?
So we can share the practical example, how it was,
Yeah.
to make it very practical.
You share from your side and I'll share from my side.
So I go to the kitchen. We're almost ready to go. He has emptied the trash of the house. And so the trash is empty and there's no bag. And I have like a little plastic bag that I just want to throw because I know that will not decompose or anything. And it crossed through my mind some reels that I've watched of wives feeling so romantic when the husbands are washing the dishes or taking out the trash and putting the bag in, and it's like, wow, he's doing all of that. And I was like, in a way, it felt like, why does he take the trash and doesn't put a trash bag back? It's just one more step, but it will make it complete. So whenever we need to throw something, we don't have to like realize it's empty and have to put a bag. So I was like, well, he's doing good, but he's missing one point. But I was like, let me not do a big deal. Let me not feel discouraged because he's not doing it fully. But let me just put the bag. And I threw my little plastic bag. And then he was like, why
No,
are...
I'll share.
Okay.
I'll share because this is my perspective. So I don't know if she realized it or not. After I emptied the trash, I left the trash can open. So, and I didn't put the a new trash bag intentionally. And my reasoning is that the trash can is always closed, so we can let it air out. We won't be in the house. No one is going to put trash now. I can leave the trash can open, so it will air out and it'll feel fresh and a little bit nicer when we come back home, because we always are very clear about taking the trash and not leaving the trash can smelly. So there should be a little bit of air come in to the trash can, and all of that is my reasoning. So when you shared in the car, why? No, actually, even before that, I was kind of frustrated. Why did she put the trash bag and close the new trash bag and close the trash can? Man, she could have left it open. She should know. I did it intentionally. But of course, I am also to be blamed. I did not tell her, communicate with her clearly as to what are my reasonings for that. So she opens up while we are driving on our way to Michigan. It's like, why did you do it like this? So I can have an understanding. I don't want you to be upset, but I would like to know why you did it. And that actually also helped me when she said, I don't want you to be upset, but trying to ask instead of accusing me. And then I shared my reasoning as to, because for me, I don't want the trash can always to be closed, especially when there is no trash in. It is nice for some air to go in and basically airing it out. So, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was like, well, thank you for sharing. I never knew that was your idea. I just thought you didn't finish your job. And I was a little frustrated because of that. But I said, okay, let me just not talk to him about it. Let me just do it and let's move on. But that still created an issue, my finishing the job. So we realized we both have very different expectations of how it should be done. And once I understood his point, I was like, okay, I can see you have a point and it makes sense. I'm willing to work with that. Now I know. So communication was very important for us to not just think, because I think he was, what were you thinking about me at that time?
I'm like, she doesn't understand what I'm trying to do here. Like, I
Well,
just
definitely not.
definitely, I mean, it's for the most part, I would say in at least 95% of the time when I empty the trash, I put new trash bags again. A couple times I might have forgotten and I didn't change it.
And we travel a lot. So every other week or 2 weeks, we're gone for a weekend or so. So I've seen it often not have the bag, and I've thought I put it in. So it kind of seems regular. So I haven't noticed exactly the pattern. So I didn't catch onto his vision. So
So for me, I was really kind of like, I'm doing this intentionally, and why is she adding more trash to the trash can? Because we'll be gone. So this might be an OCD, I don't know, but when we leave the house, especially if you're going for a weekend, and this was like almost, we'll be gone for almost 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, I think. Anyway, so we are going. I don't want to have any trash in the trash can because we can come to a cleaner house and a cleaner trash can. And the second thing is, I don't want to have any dirty dishes or even clean dishes in the drying rack. Everything to be put away. So when we come back home, there is not so many dishes to wash or to put away. Everything is put away. When we come back home, it's not, there is not so much work because we drove, and we from Michigan back home, it was like 10 hours drive without any break if we don't take any break.
So yeah, definitely just to make it clear, we don't leave dirty dishes more than maybe a cup or two. Sometimes
And I don't like that either.
we generally always clean the sink, even if we're at home. But so it's never like cluttered with dishes. But for me, it's not such a big deal to leave dirty dishes just drying at the last minute because there's so many other things we're trying to pack and do in the morning before we leave. So I'm packing food and this and that. So I make sure everything is clean, but not necessarily everything put away because we have to dry and put away. So for me, efficiency and just things can wait and air dry. For me, it's more efficient, but for him, it's better to have clear and clarity. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm fine with that. I might not have the time, so if you want to do it, feel free. So in certain things, we also say, I'll do my best, but I might not be able to do everything up to your expectation. But other things I can work with, and so we kind of have to work with each other and communicate.
Yeah. So it definitely helped that we both openly communicated our expectations, and she saw my view and I saw her view, and we could come to a well-informed decision, whichever works best, right?
So another expectation we had, which also was not fully communicated. I just kind of thought it would happen because I thought of how I would do. So throughout our courtship, at the beginning of a few months, I decided to buy a nice leather journal and that I would write as often as possible different like letters to him. Things that I really wanted to open my heart, but maybe not share it to him at that time, or prayers I was doing, or feelings through our relationship. And I thought that would be so meaningful. The day we get married, if God leads us to that point, I will give it to him. But if we don't get married, there's certain things I don't want to tell him all the way. So we built at our relationship. Finally, we got married. So in our honeymoon, I had my little journal ready for him. So this was not so little, but it had quite a lot. My goal was to fill all the pages, like 300 pages throughout the months and years. But I had this whole journal, and I thought he's going to read it just during the honeymoon. Like in a couple days, he's going to read everything. And he was so touched, so thankful. And I think he just opened it, looked, and then put it and store it. And then months go by, a year goes by, and I'm like, aren't you reading? Like, I took so much time, and time is going by. And so I started to honestly feel a little dejected. Like, I took so much effort. I was so excited for him to read everything through the years. There were things that even before we met, I wrote. So I didn't understand, because for me, something someone writes, I will read it and read it in few days many times. So I was like, is he not really caring? Isn't it not that meaningful to him? Like, what happened? My dream that for years I've been writing for my future husband is not really taken as I thought it would be. So I was a little discouraged. But you can share what were your thoughts as you received this gift, and what was your perspective?
Yeah, so the first thing is definitely I couldn't have read it during our honeymoon because she was sick. And also we had a very totally different lifestyle, I would say, because we were like barely awake. And in the evening, even though we were staying right next to the beach, only in the evening we were able to go to the beach because of the whole day being messed up. She was coughing through the night. And
yeah, I was a BC and I was sick, and we were visiting family, so there was a lot going on.
Yeah, that would not have happened during the honeymoon. It would have been great, but yeah. And then
I would have found time at any minute, so that's our difference.
Yeah. And for me, I don't like to just rush through the whole thing and be done with. I like to take some time, read peacefully and meditate, chew, enjoy all those things. I am not one to just read whatever. Oh, okay, let me read it like just another book. I want to read because it's a very special book and I want to read it, even though I have not found time for it yet. But we have come to a solution.
So finally, when I shared with him, like, when are you going to read? He was like, well, I'm looking for the right time. I was like, there's never going to be, and I might die and you will not read that book. So finally, as I was praying, because I was like, he's looking for the perfect time where he has nothing else, but he's never finding it. And then I thought, maybe instead of feeling bad about it, we can just make time for it and be intentional. And so in some of our dates, I've decided to bring the book, and he has asked me to read it to him. And that has meant even more that I myself read the letters or the notes to him. And that has been so meaningful. He has been shocked of certain things he never knew. And because he didn't read, till now he didn't know. So it wasn't not interest. It's just for him, certain things are so much more meaningful. Like even food, if he really likes something, he'll leave it aside. And my mom thought he doesn't like that. And it's because he really likes it. So we all have different ways of dealing.
I leave it aside to eat it towards the end.
Yes.
Not just leave it aside.
So maybe
just to clarify that.
So maybe when we are retired, he was planning to read this thing.
No.
But it's important to understand. And it has been so meaningful because he has enjoyed to know what is in there. But I took the initiative to say, hey, maybe I thought I'll give it as a gift and he has to read it because I'm an avid reader of anything someone gives me. But that might not be his style, but I can still share this with him, but in an even more personal way.
So yeah, and I read. I'm not an avid reader. I want to confess that. However, when I read, whether the Bible or spiritually encouraging books, I don't read like how others read. I like to dissect, I like to read sentence by sentence, take time to understand, and all of that. So, I am not into that type of quickly reading, especially something so special. I didn't want to just read it in a hurry, and then I feel like there is no special meaning to it if I do it like that. But I think she reading it to me with her own words and expressing all of that, it makes it even better for me to listen to it. It's like living at that time when she wrote it, but only that she's even narrating the whole thing for me. And it's very meaningful for me.
So yeah, and I can truly say he has a depthness when we even study and do devotion and everything. He really chews on things and goes back and underlines and asks questions. So we move very slowly in our journey of reading, but it's so meaningful and so deep. So I know that he really cares and values things a lot more than even I do. Just our styles are different, and we can learn to not get like, oh, he doesn't care, and it was all worthless, and he doesn't truly love me as much. Instead of all of that negativism, be like, okay, it's really so meaningful. How can we make it happen? And come up with other ideas.
Yeah, and you know what really helped me to cherish and enjoy this book as she is reading? Here it is in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. It says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtains favor of the Lord." And then I'm going to skip 23, verse 24 says, "A man that has friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother." So when she expressed her disappointment and she expressed what she was going through, she didn't accuse me. She was expressing more of what she went through, what she was expecting, and she was communicating what she went through. She didn't say, "Oh, you don't love me, you are just, you have other priorities, I'm not your priority." She didn't accuse me. And that made me feel more safe and better for me to share with her what was in my mind than if she had accused me. If she had said, now I'm sure in the internet there are many people, you have your own way and you don't want other people to tell you, but you want to tell other people what others have to do. And you might think that I don't like, or I don't have priorities, or I would have made time. It's your what is it called? It's your preference. If you think so, it's totally up to you. But my wife knows what is my preference and what it is, and she has appreciated so far, and I have appreciated it even more. But for me, the important thing is a friend, right? A man that finds that friends. I'm sorry. A man that has friends must show himself friendly. Because she shared her heart with me, she's making a friend here, and I can be friendly as well. But if she has started with accusations and constantly going on and on and on about like why I didn't do this or I didn't do that and all of that, I would be more defensive than actually open up and share what is going on in my heart and what would be more meaningful for me. And of course, I cannot miss out on this verse. Whoso finds a wife finds a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. So even with all our differences, even with all our expectations that are not met, but we still feel that God has blessed us with communication, helping us to understand each other, helping us to recognize what God wants us to do, what God has kept in store for our marriage.
And this is a real thing, and that's why we're sharing vulnerable, real parts of our story, because in marriage there will be unmet expectations. There will be moments that the devil will tempt us to feel a bunch of lies about what that means. You know, you're not love, you're not the priority, you're this, you're that. And that doesn't mean we should settle for whatever and not work on things, but we can express it, but not out of like, everything is against me. That's why this is happening. But hey, this is how I feel. This is what I expected. What would make it work? Or pray. I prayed because honestly, I did have some of those intrusive thoughts like, maybe, you know, he's not really valuing it, or maybe he doesn't really care. But then I was like, I cannot harbor those thoughts because it will take me to a pit. I need to. And so I started saying, Lord, give me an idea. How can you empower me? So this is not limiting negative beliefs, but an empowering one. Well, what can you do if he doesn't find time to do it? Just plan a date here and there that you're going to just read part of the letters. And he was so excited about it and we enjoyed it thoroughly. So it was like, maybe just needed another creative idea and for us to find a way that works for both.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing, and it's important to really ask God, Lord, help me to see this in a different way. Give me a creative idea so we can both enjoy and not be frustrated with each other and feel, you know, we're going downhill with this point or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why we also camp on this verse very much. And that is from James 1:19, which reads, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." You know, even to speak, it is slower because you are quick to hear out what the other person has to say, hear their heart. We've been watching few debates recently. People are not even listening to what the other person has to say because they are constantly wanting to tell their own point because they think it's a great counter argument. But it loses the purpose of the debate. It's just has come to a point where the debates are just to blurt out whatever they think is the great answer to say instead of understanding each other's points and have a wise dialogue. Intelligent, wise dialogue between each other. It can be two opposing parties. They can have strong convictions of their own beliefs and it can be totally opposite, but it can still be intelligently
and respectfully done.
Yeah, but in this day and age, it's all arguments. And I listen to her. While she's saying, she might have said one word incorrectly, and I'm ready to go back, give an answer to that word instead of actually hearing what is in her heart. So be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger.
That's the recipe for success. So may God help us. May God help us to truly pray for that. Pray that God will help us to be really listeners. And to be listeners, sometimes we also need to ask questions to understand and really know what is going on, and then just listen. So expectations, a big topic. Express your expectations, but don't depend on your expectations for your joy. Count your blessings and ask for creative ideas on how to work through things in a way that we can move on and not be stuck and depressed and upset. So we'll see you in the next episode. We have something exciting that we want to share. Maybe you're like, what is the strength in my relationship? How is the quality of my relationship like? How can I gauge or get an idea where I'm at or what things maybe I need to grow?
Or you might not even know how your relationship is growing and you are trying to figure it out and you don't know how to figure it out. We have a beautiful free resource for you. It is a 3-minute relationship strength quiz. You can find it on our website. It's free for everyone. You can just go put our website. We'll put it here right here. It's called naturalhealingproject.com, and then you just scroll down. You will be able to find. It says relationship strength quiz. It is for anyone that is committed, single, or in relationship. Feel free to go and check it out and do the quiz.
You will get a percentage of the strength of your relationship with the answers you give and some tips, advice, and suggestions to move forward in strengthening even more.